The derelict Discovery, the salvage beacon lit up Salvage Master Kreth's console like a dying star. His four eyes narrowed as he studied the readings, his chitinous fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Whatever triggered the automated distress signal was massive, far larger than any derelict his crew had ever encountered. Navigator Yelta. Confirm these readings, Kreth ordered, his translator device rendering his clicking mandibles into galactic standard. The salvage vessel Fortune's Grasp had been patrolling the edge of the restricted zone for 3 cycles. But nothing like this had ever appeared on their sensors. Yelta, a Lumerian with crystalline skin that refracted the bridge lights into rainbow patterns, swiveled in her station. Her voice carried the melodic quality of her species. Confirmed, Salvage Master. The vessel is approximately 3 kilometers in length. Energy signature is dormant, but structural integrity appears intact. It's not in our database. Kreth felt his secondary heart skip a beat. 3 kilometers. The largest Galactic Council warship barely reached 1 kilometer. Whatever species built this behemoth possessed technology that dwarfed anything in known space, and it was floating dead in space, just beyond the boundary that the Council had marked as forbidden territory 200 cycles ago. Weapons Officer Zarn, any threats? Kreth asked, turning to the hulking Dravian who manned the tactical station. Zarn's scaled hide was marked with battle scars from his military service before joining the salvage trade. Negative, Master. No active weapons, no life signs, no power fluctuations. Whatever it was, it's been dormant for a long time. Zarn's deep voice rumbled through the bridge. But Master, regulations prohibit salvage operations in the restricted zone. Kreth's mandibles clicked in what his crew recognized as amusement. Regulations also prohibit vessels of unknown origin from entering Council space. This ship is clearly in violation. We're simply investigating a potential threat. He paused, his entrepreneurial instincts overriding his caution. Besides, do you know what technology from an unknown civilization could be worth? The crew exchanged glances. They all knew. A discovery like this could set them up for life. The Galactic Council would pay a fortune for access to advanced technology, and the scientific community would offer even more. The risk was worth the reward. Take us in. Slowly, Kreth commanded. Full scans as we approach. I want to know everything about this ship before we board. The Fortune's Grasp moved forward, its engines barely a whisper as it closed the distance to the mysterious vessel. As they drew nearer, the ship's true scale became apparent on the view screen. It was a predator frozen in death, all angles and armor plating. Strange symbols were etched along its hull, markings in a language none of them recognized. Master, Yelta's voice carried a note of awe. The hull composition is unlike anything in our records. It's a composite of metals and polymers that shouldn't exist together. The molecular structure is impossibly dense, yet the ship somehow maintains maneuverability architecture. This is decades ahead of our best engineering. Kreth studied the vessel through the view screen. Despite its dormant state, something about it commanded respect. This was a warship, no doubt about it, but it bore no battle damage. No carbon scoring from energy weapons. No hull breaches, no signs of the catastrophic failure that typically accompanied derelict finds. It was as if the crew had simply vanished. Docking port located, the pilot announced. It's compatible with our universal couplings. Suspiciously convenient. Or intentional, Kreth mused. Prepare a boarding party. Yelta, Zarn, you're with me. The rest of you maintain position and keep sensors at maximum. If anything changes, I want to know immediately. The airlock cycled with a hiss and the boarding party stepped through into darkness. Emergency lighting flickered to life as their presence triggered ancient sensors, bathing the corridor in a crimson glow that painted everything in blood-colored shadows. The walls were lined with that same strange script, and at regular intervals they passed sealed doors bearing pictographic warnings. Atmosphere is breathable, Yelta reported, studying her handheld scanner. Composition is surprisingly similar to standard Council atmosphere. Temperature is cold but stable. No biological contaminants detected. They moved deeper into the ship, their footsteps echoing in the empty corridors. The vessel's interior was pristine, almost sterile. No debris, no signs of struggle, no bodies, just empty hallways and sealed chambers. It was as if the crew had prepared for a long absence and simply stepped out, expecting to return. This doesn't make sense, Zarn growled, his weapon sweeping each intersection before they crossed. A ship doesn't just abandon itself. Where's the crew? Where are their belongings? Their supplies? Kreth had been wondering the same thing. Every derelict told a story, signs of disaster, evacuation, or battle. This ship told no story at all. It simply waited, patient and silent. They reached what appeared to be the command center, a circular chamber dominated by a central holographic projection platform. Workstations lined the walls, each display dark but intact. Kreth approached the nearest console, his skilled fingers working to interface his datapad with the alien technology. "Careful, Master," Yelta warned. "Unknown technology can be dangerous." "So can poverty," Kreth replied, but he proceeded with caution. The console responded to his touch, and lines of that strange script began scrolling across the screen. "I need your linguistic algorithms, Yelta. See if you can make sense of this." Yelta moved beside him, her crystalline fingers touching the display. Her species had a gift for patterns and languages, a trait that made them invaluable in salvage operations. Her eyes glazed over as she entered the meditative state required for deep linguistic analysis. Minutes passed in silence, broken only by the hum of ship systems and the occasional creak of settling metal. Sarn kept watch, his weapon ready, his instincts screaming that something was wrong. The ship was too perfect, too preserved. It felt less like a derelict and more like a trap. "I've got something," Yelta said suddenly, her voice tight with concentration. "The language is complex, but the base structure has similarities to ancient Dracon script. I can provide partial translation." She pressed a sequence on the console, and a holographic log entry sprang to life above the projection platform. The image showed a being unlike any species in the Galactic Council. It stood on two legs with two arms, forward-facing eyes, and skin that varied in tone. It wore a dark uniform with insignia that meant nothing to them. When it spoke, the words were harsh and angular, but Yelta's translator rendered them intelligible. "Captain Marcus Webb. Earth Defense Force Battleship Vigilant. Mission Log. Cycle 2847. We have completed our patrol of Sector 77 and eliminated another Void Rift incursion. No civilian populations were exposed. No Council vessels detected our presence. The quarantine holds." The hologram flickered and changed to show another entry, the same being but older, wearier. "Captain's Log, Cycle 2963. This is our 116th engagement with Void Rift entities. Casualties remain minimal, thanks to the stasis rotation protocol. The Council continues their expansion, unaware of the threat we contain. Command has authorized another decade of silent watch. We will not fail." Another flicker. The being now showed streaks of gray in the hair on its head. "Captain's Log, Cycle 3104. We lost Ensign Martinez today. The Void creatures are adapting faster than our weapons can evolve. But we hold the line. We must hold the line. The Council cannot know. If they learn of the rift, panic will spread. Their fleets would be slaughtered. Humanity shoulders this burden alone, as we have for 3 centuries. The logs continued, dozens of them, spanning what appeared to be hundreds of cycles. They told a story that made Kreth's blood run cold. These humans, this unknown species, had been fighting a war in secret, protecting the entire galactic community from a threat they didn't even know existed. For centuries, they had stood guard in the darkness, sacrificing their lives to maintain a quarantine around something called the Void Rift. "By the ancient stars," Yelta whispered, her crystalline skin flickering with distress patterns. "They've been protecting us. All this time, we thought the restricted zone was just empty space, but they were fighting something terrible out here." The final log entry appeared, the human captain looking directly at the recorder as if he could see across time to whoever might find this message. "If you're seeing this, it means the automated beacon is activated, which means we've been in emergency stasis longer than planned. My crew of 4,000 souls sleeps in the cryobays below, waiting for the threat level to require our intervention. We are the 7th Fleet, humanity's silent watchers, and we have guarded this boundary for 347 cycles." The captain's expression hardened. "The beacon only activates under specific conditions. Either we've been dormant for too long and our automated systems need maintenance, or the Void Rift has grown beyond our automated defense perimeter's ability to contain it. If it's the latter, you need to leave, immediately. These ships—" He gestured around him. "We have 50 vessels in this fleet alone, all in stasis mode. We're humanity's insurance policy, and if we're waking up, it means something very bad is about to happen." The hologram froze on the captain's face, and then new text appeared, still being translated by Yelta's algorithms. "Warning. Void Rift expansion detected. Dimensional breach imminent. Fleet revival protocol initiated. Time to full. Awakening, 72 standard hours. The command center suddenly blazed with light as dormant systems roared to life. Klaxons began wailing throughout the ship, and the deck plates vibrated with the rumble of massive reactors coming online. All around them, holographic displays lit up, showing tactical data, energy readings, and dozens of other ships just like this one beginning to activate. Master, Yelta's voice was urgent. I'm detecting a massive spatial anomaly bearing 274 Mark 12. It's growing. She looked up from her scanner, her crystalline face reflecting her terror. It's a tear in space itself, and something is coming through. Kreth stumbled to the view screen and activated the external cameras. What he saw would haunt him for the rest of his life. Space itself was ripping open like torn fabric, and through the wound in reality he could see things that should not exist, writhing masses of impossible geometry, creatures that existed in too many dimensions at once, darkness that seemed to devour light itself. We need to leave, Zarn said, his warrior's instincts screaming danger. Now, Master, we need to leave now. But Kreth stood frozen, watching as all around them the other human ships began to glow with power. Their weapon systems came online, and formations that had been dark and dead for who knew how long suddenly burned with purpose. And deep within the Vigilant he heard the sound of mechanisms awakening, of stasis pods cycling, of an entire crew returning from their long sleep to face a nightmare. The humans were waking up. And if they were waking up, it meant the galaxy was in more danger than the Galactic Council could possibly imagine. The price of peace. The Galactic Council chamber erupted into chaos as Kreth finished his report. 300 representatives from across known space shouted over each other, their varied alien physiologies all displaying universal signs of panic and disbelief. High Chancellor Theron, a towering being of pure crystallized thought energy, raised all 6 of his appendages for silence. Salvage Master Kreth, Theron's voice resonated through every translator in the chamber. You expect us to believe that an unknown species has been conducting military operations in our restricted space for over 3 centuries? That they've been fighting some mythical threat we've never detected? With respect, Chancellor, Kreth replied, his mandibles clicking nervously. I've transmitted all the data from the human vessel. The logs are authentic. Their technology is decades beyond ours, and the spatial anomaly is real. Our long-range sensors have now confirmed it. Something is tearing through the fabric of space at the edge of the restricted zone. Lies. Counselor Vox of the Predatory Species Coalition slammed his clawed appendage on his podium. This is clearly a deception. These humans are invaders who have been building their forces in secret, and now they emerge with this convenient story about protecting us. I say we mobilize our fleets and destroy them before they can attack. Murmurs of agreement rippled through certain sections of the chamber, but they were silenced by a new voice, calm and measured, speaking perfect galactic standard. That would be inadvisable, Counselor. Every eye turned to the chamber entrance. Standing there, flanked by what appeared to be an honor guard in dark armor, was the human from the logs. Captain Marcus Webb looked exactly as he had in the final holographic recording, though now he wore a formal uniform adorned with insignia that Kreth's research suggested indicated high military rank. His eyes swept the chamber with the confidence of someone who had faced far worse than political assemblies. I am Commander Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Force, 7th Silent Watch Fleet. I apologize for our unannounced appearance, but circumstances have become urgent. He walked down the central aisle toward the speaker's platform, his footsteps echoing in the stunned silence. For 347 cycles, my fleet and 19 others, like it, have maintained a quarantine around a dimensional weak point we call the Void Rift. We've fought and died in the darkness to keep something terrible from reaching your worlds. How dare you enter this chamber without permission? Theron's energy form crackled with indignation. Security, remove these intruders. Webb didn't even glance at the approaching guards. Instead, he touched a control on his wrist, and a massive holographic display materialized above the chamber, showing real-time sensor data from the restricted zone. The assembled delegates fell silent as they watched space itself tearing apart, and shapes that defied comprehension pushing through from the other side. That is what we've been protecting you from, Webb said quietly. The void rift has been stable for the past 2 centuries, with only minor incursions that my fleets could handle. But something has changed. The dimensional barriers are collapsing. In approximately 96 standard hours, that rift will expand beyond our ability to contain it, and the Void Collective will pour into this dimension. The Void Collective? Yelta stepped forward from where she'd been standing with the other witnesses. What are they? Webb's expression darkened. They're not from our universe. They exist in dimensions where the laws of physics work differently. To them, our reality is a resource to be harvested. They consume matter, energy, even time itself. Every civilization they've encountered has been utterly destroyed, their entire existence erased from the timeline. We know this because Earth was supposed to be their next target. He paused, letting that sink in. 700 cycles ago, Earth received a transmission from the future. Our own descendants, in a timeline where we failed to stop the Void Collective, sent back a warning through the rift itself. They told us what was coming, where the weak point in dimensional barriers would be, and how to build the weapons needed to fight them. We've been preparing ever since. Impossible, Counselor Theron said, but his voice carried less certainty now. Temporal paradoxes cannot exist. Our understanding of physics. Your understanding of physics is limited to this dimension, Webb interrupted. The Void Collective exists across multiple realities simultaneously. They don't follow your rules. They don't follow anyone's rules. That's what makes them so dangerous. A new hologram appeared, showing a battle. Human ships, hundreds of them, fought against entities that hurt to look at directly. The void creatures shifted and phased, existing in multiple places at once, their forms defying rational analysis. The human weapons, strange arrays that distorted space itself, barely held them back. For 3 centuries we've been fighting this war alone, Webb continued, not because we didn't want your help, but because we calculated that bringing the Galactic Council into the conflict would cause more harm than good. Your fleets would have been slaughtered. Your weapons don't work against dimensional entities. The panic would have destabilized your entire civilization, so we decided to shoulder the burden in silence. How noble, Counselor Vox sneered, and we're just supposed to believe you did all this out of altruism. What do you want from us, human? What's your real agenda? Webb turned to face Vox directly. What do I want? I want you to survive. I want the 4,000 souls in my fleet who've been sleeping in stasis for decades, rotating in and out of consciousness to maintain our watch, to not have died for nothing. I want the 200,000 humans who've given their lives fighting the void over the past 3 centuries to have mattered. He gestured to the hologram. But more than that, I want you to understand what's at stake. This isn't about territory or resources or politics. This is about the survival of every sentient being in this galaxy. Because if the Void Rift fully opens, they won't stop with us. They'll consume everything everywhere until there's nothing left but void. Silence fell over the chamber. Even Vox seemed shaken by the weight of Webb's words. High Chancellor Theron's energy form flickered with uncertainty. Commander Webb, Theron said finally, assuming we believe your account, what do you propose? Webb straightened. We need to combine forces. My fleets have the weapons and experience to fight the void. But we're spread thin after centuries of attrition. Your fleets have numbers and fresh crews. Together we might be able to reinforce the dimensional barriers long enough to permanently seal the rift. And if we refuse? Another counselor asked. Then my fleets will fight alone as we always have, Webb said simply. We'll hold the line for as long as we can. When we fall, you'll have perhaps 48 hours before the void reaches your nearest colonies. After that, he let the sentence hang unfinished. Kreth watched the faces around the chamber. Fear, suspicion, calculation, and slowly reluctant respect. These humans had been protecting them for centuries, asking nothing in return, preparing to die in obscurity to save civilizations that didn't even know they existed. It was either the greatest act of self-sacrifice in galactic history or the most elaborate deception ever conceived. High Chancellor Theron seemed to reach a decision. Commander Webb, the Galactic Council will need time to debate this matter. Return to your vessel while we— With respect, Chancellor, there's no time, Webb interrupted. The rift is expanding exponentially. Every hour we debate, we lose options. I need your answer now. You cannot dictate terms to the Council, Counselor Vox roared. Webb's eyes flashed with something dangerous. I'm not dictating terms. I'm stating facts. Salvage Master Kreth can confirm everything I've said. Your own sensors are showing the rift expanding. In 96 hours, this won't be a debate, it will be a catastrophe. So I'm asking you, all of you, to make a choice. Fight with us or watch everything you've built turn to void. The chamber erupted into argument again, but Kreth noticed something. Webb wasn't looking at the counselors anymore. He was looking at a display on his wrist device, and his expression was growing more tense by the second. Something was wrong. Commander? Kreth called out. What is it? Webb's jaw tightened. The timeline just accelerated. The rift is expanding faster than projected. He looked up at the assembly, and Kreth saw genuine fear in the human's eyes for the first time. We don't have 96 hours. We have 6. The chamber fell silent. The Void Vanguard is already pushing through. Webb continued, his voice steady despite the dire news. My automated defense platforms are engaging, but they won't hold for long. I need every available warship at the rift boundary within 4 hours, or this discussion becomes meaningless. High Chancellor Theron's energy form pulsed rapidly, indicating intense thought. This is unprecedented. We cannot mobilize our entire defense force based on... An alarm cut through the chamber. A technician burst through the doors, his tentacles flailing in panic. Chancellor! We're receiving emergency signals from Outpost Theta 9 on the edge of the restricted zone. They report being under attack by unknown hostile forces. The outpost is... Chancellor, the outpost is gone. It vanished from sensors entirely as if it never existed. Webb nodded grimly. That's the Void's temporal erasure ability. They don't just destroy, they remove things from the timeline. Everyone on that outpost, every memory of them, every record of their existence, will start fading from your databases within the hour. That's what we're fighting. That's what will happen to all of you if we fail. The reality of the situation finally seemed to pierce through the political posturing. Kreth saw the shift in the chamber's mood, felt the change in the air. Fear gave way to determination. This was really happening. Counselor Yelta stood, her crystalline form glowing with resolve. The Lemurian Collective pledges our defense fleets to this cause. Whatever differences we may have, we will not hide while brave souls fight for our survival. One by one, other counselors rose, adding their pledges. Even Counselor Vox, still suspicious but pragmatic, committed his species' warrior fleets. Within minutes, the debate had transformed into coordinated action. High Chancellor Theron raised his appendages. Commander Webb, the Galactic Council stands with you. Coordinate with our fleet commanders. We make our stand together. Webb's expression showed relief but also determination. Thank you, Chancellor. I'll transmit our battle plans immediately. But I need you all to understand something. He looked around the chamber, meeting as many eyes as he could. Even with our combined forces, we may not win this. The Void is relentless, adaptable, and infinite. We're fighting against an enemy that exists outside our understanding of reality. Then why fight at all? Someone called out. A slight smile crossed Webb's face. Because that's what humanity does. We face impossible odds and fight anyway. We stand in the darkness so others can live in the light. We endure. His smile faded, replaced by iron resolve. And because if we're going down, we're taking them with us. 6 hours later, Kreth found himself aboard the Fortune's Grasp, part of a massive combined fleet assembling at the rift boundary. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species formed up alongside the human silent watch vessels. The human ships, now fully awakened and bristling with impossible weapons, took point positions. Commander Webb's voice came over the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Fleet Commander Webb. You've all been briefed on the enemy we face. I won't lie to you. This will be the hardest battle any of us have ever fought. But look around you. Ships from every corner of the galaxy, standing together against extinction. Whatever happens today, we face it united. Kreth watched his sensors as the rift tore wider. Space buckled and twisted, and through the wound in reality, the Void Collective began to emerge. Thousands of them. Entities that existed in too many dimensions. Ships that phased in and out of perception. Weapons that shouldn't be possible. All ships, weapons-free, Webb commanded. For every world in this galaxy. For every life we're sworn to protect. For the future we'll never see. Hold the line! The battle began. And it was like nothing Kreth had ever imagined. Human weapons fired beams of distorted space-time, creating pockets of altered reality that the Void creatures couldn't traverse. Galactic Council ships, their weapons upgraded with hastily installed human technology, poured fire into the enemy ranks. The Void fought back with temporal disruptions, erasure waves, and reality-warping attacks that defied comprehension. Ships died on both sides. Kreth watched entire vessels wink out of existence, erased from the timeline. He saw human crews sacrifice themselves to seal breaches in the dimensional barriers, their ships diving into the rift itself to detonate reality warping charges. He saw Galactic Council captains make the same impossible choice, following the humans' example of selfless sacrifice. Commander Webb's flagship, the Vigilant, held the center of the line, its massive weapons creating a kill zone that the Void struggled to cross. But even the mighty battleship was taking damage, sections of its hull phasing in and out of existence as temporal weapons tore at its structure. "Commander," Webb's tactical officer shouted over the combat channel. "The rift is destabilizing. If we can collapse it now, we can seal it permanently." "Do it," Webb ordered. "All ships, pull back. Vigilant will deliver the final charge." "Sir, the calculations show you won't have time to escape the collapse wave," the officer protested. "I know," Webb said quietly. "That's why you're all leaving." "That's an order. Fall back to minimum safe distance." Kreth felt his heart sink. He understood what Webb was doing. The humans had been protecting the galaxy in secret for centuries, and now at the end, they would make one final sacrifice that everyone would witness. "Commander, you can't—" High Chancellor Theron's voice cracked over the channel. "I can, and I will," Webb interrupted. "Chancellor, take care of my people. The ones in stasis throughout the restricted zone. Tell them we held the line. Tell them it mattered." The human fleet began pulling back, even as the Vigilant charged forward into the heart of the rift. Webb's voice came one last time over the channel, calm and steady. "It's been an honor serving alongside all of you. Remember this day. Remember that when it mattered most, we stood together." The Vigilant entered the rift, and its reality-warping generators overloaded in a cascade that tore through dimensional barriers. The rift collapsed in on itself, sealing shut with a finality that Kreth's sensors confirmed was permanent. The Void Collective was cut off, trapped on the other side of a healed dimensional barrier. But the Vigilant was gone, erased by the forces it had unleashed. Commander Marcus Webb and his crew of 4,000 had given everything to save a galaxy that hadn't even known it needed saving. In the aftermath, as rescue operations began and the fleet dispersed, Kreth received a message. It was from one of the human stasis facilities, an automated system that had awakened to deliver Commander Webb's final orders. Inside were personnel records, commendations, and most importantly, the truth about what humanity had done. Cycles of silent vigil. 200,000 deaths over 3 centuries, 20 fleets of 50 ships each, all maintaining the quarantine in shifts, crews rotating through stasis to extend their operational lifespans. An entire generation of humans who had grown up knowing they would die in darkness to protect people who would never know their names. The Galactic Council erected a monument at the rift boundary. It bore the names of every human who had died in the Silent Watch, including Commander Marcus Webb and the crew of the Vigilant. Inscribed at the base was Webb's final message: "We stood in the darkness so others could live in the light." Kreth visited the monument often, standing before the wall of names and feeling the weight of their sacrifice. Humanity had emerged from isolation not as conquerors or diplomats, but as guardians who had never asked for recognition, never demanded gratitude, never expected anything in return. The galaxy had learned a truth that day. Humanity was capable of extraordinary sacrifice, enduring determination, and unconditional protection of the innocent. They had earned their place among the stars not through political maneuvering or technological advantage, but through 3 centuries of silent, thankless service. As Kreth stood before the monument, he thought about Webb's words. That's what humanity does. We face impossible odds and fight anyway. We stand in the darkness so others can live in the light. The galaxy had been saved by beings who asked for nothing and gave everything, and Kreth knew that as long as humans walked among the stars, the galaxy would never face darkness alone again. The end.